George, can you just frame how much of a nightmare this might be for Boeing later on today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think no CEO would want this to be happening, but I don't think there's much choice, right? The FAA, I think their reputation's been hurt by Boeing, and I think as the regulator, they really need to get in there and make sure the manufacturing process is stable and Boeing is building safe airplanes. If we had a problem, God forbid, right, part of it would be on the FAA's hands. And so, yeah, again, well, no CEO would want this to be going on. I think it's necessary at this point. And I think a lot of it's going to be about, an increased oversight at Boeing, at the manufacturing facilities. And there'll be questions for the FAA too, right? Whether or not they've got the personnel in place and the resources to go out and properly oversee Boeing.
Is it the job of the FAA or Boeing, though, to make sure that planes are safe?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's Boeing's job to build an airplane according to what they've had certified by the FAA. So it's Boeing's job to build a safe airplane and build it correctly. But it is the FAA's responsibility to oversee that process, right? And so there needs to be appropriate controls in place and inspections in place so they can feel satisfied that the work is being done according to their authorizations.
George, we were talking about some of the labor issues and the potential for a strike, and I wonder how much this is just yet another problem and how much this is front and central to the problems. How much is Boeing's issue a workforce problem with respect to morale, with respect to retention, with respect to just full staffing?
A lot of it is workforce. I mean, everyone I talk to in the industry talks about the turnover we had during the pandemic and the difficulty getting workers even now. And so, look, the unions are going to have plenty of leverage here. The workforce still seems, or at least the U.S. workforce still seems like there's shortages in some areas. So I'd expect them to get a nice pay package. But again, I think the primary challenge here is the turnover has really depleted the amount of experience on the line, and they need to be able to retain that experience, so they can build airplanes well. Aircraft manufacturing is much different than lots of other manufacturing. In lots of other manufacturing, you do higher volumes and you do a lot more templating. You do a lot more. You'll buy a lot more capital tools that will help make up for perhaps any deficiencies in the workforce. There's a lot of manual labor that isn't capital tool accompanied in this business, and so you need smart people, well-trained people on the line, focused on detail, and it's hard to do. They're going to probably get a pretty nice pay package.
George, can you help us quantify that? What are we missing now that we used to have before the pandemic?
I think a lot of gray-haired experienced folks sitting on the line, right? That's the big difference, is that prior to the pandemic, we saw a lot of seasoned professionals on those lines. During the pandemic, they left. They decided, I guess, they were going to move to Jacksonville or something, right? They went through Florida. Nothing wrong with Jacksonville, but yeah, I'm just saying they went to bigger, sunnier shores than the Northwest. They were in an industry that one saw the MCAS problems with the MAX, the 2 crashes. So the MAX was grounded. Next thing you know, you get into a pandemic. Air travel goes to almost zero. There's people that just threw up their hands and said, "That's it. I'm 62 or whatever. Boeing's going to offer me a package because they're trying to cut longer term costs. I'll take their package. I'll move out of here. I'll go do something else." And then they had to turn that staff over, bring new people in, train them, and that's been a serious challenge.